Hello, everyone. A lot of familiar faces. Hello, everyone. It's like super international event, and thanks for having me again. Feels like a big family. But before we start with Volkswagen, I was at a quite large conference last week, and I think things are getting real now. The world is changing massively. We had this conversation with a company that sold for $80 million. It was an 8-man team with 3 junior people, and they existed for 6 months. Marketing, tremendous stuff. And behind the closed door, we had a couple of discussions with other startups, and actually they were most encouraged to develop online to offline solutions. So actually, like, to be an online AI company doesn't create moat anymore, apparently. So people are thinking how you could actually do an AI McDonald's in order to stay competitive. And if someone of you decides to do an AI Volkswagen, please first come to me. Let's talk and then see what we could do about that. Having said that, please let me first share a bit about the company, although I assume that you might have come across some of our products before. So I drive the innovation for Volkswagen Group, innovation up in Singapore. We look into Southeast Asia and India, and actually we are maybe a bit max version of Gen AI fund for the Volkswagen Group. So Volkswagen Group actually has multiple brands across different vehicles and mobility services. We work with our volume brands. The biggest actually ones are Volkswagen and Skoda, the namesake brand of our group. And actually some of the early adopters of our technology in our work are the ones you see below, the premium and the sports ones. So we work very closely with Audi and Porsche, which are also represented in the region. And before going to what we do at the innovation side, actually our brands have been working in the field of AI for quite a while. If you have a car, even a couple of generations back, the assisting driving systems, this parking assist, for example, lane assist that is helping you actually drive a bit more safely, has a fair amount of technology there, more like from the classic approaches of machine learning. And this has been on our company's radar for quite a while already. What's been changed now is that you see a lot on the area of actually looking at the top line growth. So for example, we were one of the first car manufacturers, actually Volkswagen was that, integrating ChatGPT in the car as a voice assistant. We also are now actively developing our AD technology stack. Actually, as a matter of fact, last week, a mobility ride pooling solution was launched in Hamburg, which is a Volkswagen van, which is specifically designed only for ride pooling, and actually has a complete stack design from the hardware all the way into the customer applications in-house, as well as what you see there is that a whole observation of the cabin, like to make actually everything inside like be smoother and also like user-friendly as there's no driver. It's actually running on different systems that I also develop in-house in AI. On the other side, like if you look into the bottom line growth and actually cutting costs, we see a fair amount of, for example, quality assurance topics in the manufacturing area. We look into a lot of traceability topics within this area of supply chain management. So all like the topics where a large 600,000 people company would need to optimize in order to stay competitive, be more attractive to the customers, as well as provide products at cost. So then why does the company need us as a Volkswagen Group innovation? And as I said, like we are probably like something like a mini Gen AI fund, or actually max out Gen AI fund. We have 500 people globally, but we have a fair amount of experts and technologists because we de-risk technology, right? So actually we have 2 topics. The first one is to de-risk technology. The second one is actually to do open innovation. De-risking technology means what? If you're, for example, like an innovation manager at, say, Audi, and you need to integrate, for example, like a rear seat entertainment for kids, an immersion system, right? You need to actually have fixed your product roadmap 4 years in advance before the start of production. Means actually the product must be quite mature already at a point in time, actually say, okay, check mark, this is my job. I've already validated a solution. Thing is, what's happening in the meantime? Like who's looking into all emerging technologies that are happening there? And this is actually where we come into play, these 500 people globally. Maybe as a data point there, we have 3 big offices in China, Europe, and the US, and smaller innovation hubs in Israel and in Tokyo and here in Singapore. Actually, they're in Singapore, but here in Southeast Asia. And the second topic is about open innovation. So actually, we never run a project within group innovation solely. So actually, we actively engage startups, The reason for this is, I think, known to all of us. Like corporates have difficult times working with startups. Even if you think about artificial intelligence, we have even more complications around that in terms of, for example, data compliance, access to different system and integration. Actually, I was just last night in a call where our colleagues from California and Germany were in a call with a Singaporean startup company because there was some problem on our AWS infrastructure. Kudos to AWS where we are now. But this is actually why we are there, to make sure that we pave the way for all of you guys to facilitate this conversation, not only on a use case level and pilot level, but really make sure that there's something coming out in terms of benefits at the end of the day. And having this introduction, we have two challenges today, and both relate to the topic of how actually able to increase our sales. Why we deal with sales? Because Southeast Asia is one of the important sales region for ourselves, and we have regional sales organizations of almost all the brands you saw there. So one opportunity we look in there is actually how we could optimize the lead qualification. So if you, for example, look into a specific campaign by one of our brands who come from Facebook or any other social media, it could be like some type of roadshow. What we actually are missing now is the connection between digital, physical, and then back to digital. At the moment, for example, let's say, Kai, you come to the showroom. I have no idea where you're coming from. Have you seen something, for example, that the marketing team has been putting out on social media? Is it maybe some word of mouth from a friend of yours? Are you an existing customer? So, and then as we have quite a lot of traffic, we really want to optimize this tracking. So making sure that we're able to better identify how actually leads happen to be engaging with the different brands. And to make even things more complex, like one of our showrooms in Singapore actually has 4 different brands inside, meaning you could come to look at a Volkswagen car, but you end up like actually buying a Skoda car or a Cupra car, right? Then the question is actually how all these brands interact with each other, right? And the key points about this is, of course, marketing team is very interested in evaluating the performance of marketing campaigns, but much more interesting for us is also going to understand like how we could reactivate cold leads, because buying a car is quite a big investment. How it should be able to engage these people who are initially interested, but maybe like the interest is waning off at some point. And then how will you be able to enable our teams to act with more activation on that front. And the second topic, what we like to look into is also one quite out of scale, which is if you look into marketing collaterals, it could be point of sales marketing materials, it could be digital marketing campaigns, is that they change quite often, right? As the dynamics of the market change, we have quite different audiences, different languages, traditions, holidays. In Singapore, even we have different taxes for actually registering our cars, which require quite an often updates of the marketing materials you have. And important part there is that all need to be consistent, meaning if I, for example, change a price on Facebook, it has to be reflected, for example, like in a price brochures, for example, at the dealerships or somewhere else. So we do believe that AI is able to help us here. We've been already experimenting with a couple of solutions, but actually the point which are quite key for us are to do this at scale, right? And then specifically looking into how we could address quality and consistency across the different marketing collaterals. What we also see as an additional benefit to actually generating these marketing collaterals is actually to even go all the way back into the ideation of a marketing campaign, right? Thinking, so how could I actually better brief our creative agencies about potential vision for a specific campaign, which now it's done manually. It costs a lot of man hours on our marketing team side. And as you could imagine, like for regional offices, we do not actually have a lot of people in addition to actually cover a lot of manual work. So if you'll be able to save it, we will do that. So these are two topics which be interested to hear from anyone in the room that might have ideas or actually work in other industries but are applicable to ours. We work on many more topics. So like if you have any more questions or interest in talking to myself, I'll be also hanging out here. We are good friends with Jenny Ifan, so you could also reach out to them if I'm not present here. So we have enough challenges to work with all of you guys. So having said that, 27 seconds, I think we're good to go with questions.